Good morning, guys. This is Chris with CodeChris.com. Thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing. My name is Code Chris, and I am a character animator who had taught myself how to code. You can come here to be motivated, inspired, as well as just follow my journey, okay? So let's go ahead and talk real quick about CSS animations versus JS animations, okay? Now, for a very long time, the only way to get things to move on the screen was with JavaScript, okay? And that was kind of the thing. HTML was your markup, CSS was your styling, and JavaScript was to make things move or to just, do anything. Now, what has changed is with CSS 3 came the advent of CSS animations and transitions. And this is both a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because you don't always need to use JavaScript. You don't need to pull up a framework or do anything crazy to do some relatively simple things, right? To just create some cooler hover looking effects, to just have some things that are repeating themselves in the background that's pretty simplistic. You can have some of these very boring, simple things and bring a lot of life to your website without having to do very much and not having to involve JavaScript. And not only that, but you're not actually making any additional processing power. You're not doing anything. You're not running around and running a script that's like, okay, cool, this grabs this, which pulls this and grab that. Okay, cool, great. You don't have to do any of that extra stuff because you're doing it via the style sheet, and the style sheet is just, it's already there. You've already loaded your DOM, you've got your elements, everything's ready to go. Now, the other thing for this is, JavaScript has the advantage where you can do some really cool, fancy things. The cool thing is you have the ability to really bring your website to life, to its full potential via JavaScript. And that's because you have unlimited control over everything. And you do already, but much more when you're messing with JavaScript, right? But let's back it up. First of all, CSS animations. Now, CSS animations, like I said, are now involved in the process, right? And I won't get too much into the nitty-gritty at this moment because I think just a high overview is sufficient at the moment. I do plan on making a bunch of videos related to this topic. This is my thing that I'm going to be talking a lot about. So if you're interested in web animation, please follow, comment, and subscribe. But anyways, in this particular playlist, CSS animations, what's important to note. So you don't want to use it for anything that's super complicated, okay? Now, there are definitely examples of people using it to the nth degree and doing all sorts of craziness with it, but from one animator to future animators, my suggestion is keep it very, very simple if you're using this, okay? I would prefer that you do something that really at its core is nothing more than two keyframes, right? A point A and a point B, right? State A, state B. Now, before I get into any of this, I think I need to touch on what the heck is a keyframe. So a keyframe is an animation term, and in animation what we would do is we would have strong poses, right? Or definitive like moments in time that would be transitioned between, okay? So if, for example, I was to be here and here, my one keyframe is here, other keyframe is here, and then you have your in-betweens that make the smooth transition, okay? Animation on the web is no different. You're still going to be basing everything off of keyframes, right? Two states of being that you're transitioning between smoothly, right? You're either easing into this pose or easing out, and I'll get all to that in a much more technical side later. But the point is, in regards to CSS animations, we want things to be very, very simple, because another thing that's important in animation is timing. The practicality is, the practical side of things is that when you're doing animation, you are constantly tweaking things, right? It's all about how many frames you insert or when your keyframe shows up. That's very, very important. And usually we're working with things like actual frames per second, right? Or actual frame count. Or in this case, now that we have the web, we'll have to be dealing with seconds, right? But the problem is that with CSS animations, you're dealing with percentages. Percentages don't make a lot of sense. So, for example, what is 30% of 2.4 seconds? You can't just do that off the top of your head. So that's kind of one of the limitations with the CSS animations. Okay, so you're doing 0% to 100%, I say personally, from state A to state B, and anything in between that you're willing to kind of be a little more wonky with. You can have this go once, you can have it go twice, you can have it go infinitely, whatever the case is, but at the end of the day, you want it to be something that's a very simple, straightforward state of being, okay? This includes things that turn on and off, that move back and forth, that kind of, I think of it more like things that would go in a cycle, or that would be one-offs, okay? Or if you know the exact, and you know for sure it's the exact timing. If you know it's going to be exactly 1.3 seconds, or exactly 1 second, exactly half a second, go ahead and use it, as long as it's a simple thing, and you're not having to manage a bunch of elements, okay? So if you have 3 or 4 divs, and within those you have multiple spans that are doing things based off of the timing of other stuff, it's going to be a little bit more important that you avoid CSS animations, just because you are preparing yourself for a very large headache should you need to adjust the timing, which is going to be adjusting the percentage, which is going to be using a calculator to figure out what the actual timing is, okay? So that's the CSS animations. It's great, it's cool, it's got some great abilities, but it really is limited, and you don't want to try and put all of your resources into it, just because it does have the limitation, and it is using a system that was not really designed or geared in any way towards animators, right? Now, JavaScript has the unique ability to really be customized, and there are a bunch of different frameworks out there that are available for you, so you can go ahead and use these, tools. Here we have Anime.js, right? So this is all being done with JavaScript, right? No videos, nothing like that, no GIFs. And what's going on is there's some JavaScript code that's running in the background. If I refresh this page, it actually has a really nice intro going on. All of this is being done via JavaScript. And we'll get into more specifics of this later, but at the end of the day, what's important to note is just all of this cool stuff can be done with JavaScript, okay? Another thing that's going to be kind of a big deal moving forward in the future is SVGs. Now, SVGs, unlike PNGs, JPEGs, or any other thing out there, they are vector-based, meaning that as you scale, they don't lose any image quality. This is going to be important as things become more mobile and their resolution gets better and better, or whatever. So it's mathematically done images. And also in regards to that, you have the extra ability to control SVGs and how they move around, how they display on screen, right? So here, for example, if you look over here, you can see some pretty cool SVG animation going on, right? They're just taking the SVGs and they're manipulating them, they're changing them, and on all that stuff. And what's even cooler about that is you're changing a visual image, and it's not costing you anything because you're just changing math around, okay? So this is all, being done with SVGs, and this animation is, that's pretty cool stuff, right? Boom, 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 boom. We'll get into all this more later. If you're interested, please feel free to follow along. Now, Anime.js, here's just a bunch of random examples. This is the future of the internet, prepare yourself. This is just being done with the Anime.js, actually. Okay, things transforming into one another, things moving on the screen, looking more like videos more than anything else, right? Now, GreenSock, this is actually, this guy's name is Nathan, and he has some amazing stuff, and this single piece here that he did is actually what inspired me to look into GreenSock. I had never heard of it before, but now I've come across it, and apparently it's used in a couple of spots. GreenSock is, I can tell, is built by animators, and the reason for that is because when you actually get into it on the technical side of things, it's more geared around timing, not this percentage garbage or anything like that. So you can actually control elements, you can scale the timing of things, you can group things together, and all that stuff. It's much more geared towards a keyframe approach, like animation is usually being done. And so this was a very inspiring piece that really showed me the potential for even character animation using using GreenSock, right? So the future of the web is going to have a lot of animation, right? It's going to have a lot of crappy animation, to be honest with you. Okay, I think a lot of animation that's currently used online right now is being done just because it makes things different, right? A lot of the times when I come across what I think is really cool stuff for websites, either A, it's not working on all the browsers, or B, it's just kind of annoying. It's too in your face, right? It's just all over the place, and it's distracting, and it's actually not enhancing the user experience as much as it kind of making it a little bit extra confusing. We'll go over all of this a little bit later, and I'll show you some examples, but at the end of the day, there are some really cool techniques that can be used. All of this, though, is really geared around the user experience, and the user should be able to understand what's being done because of the animation, and you also want to evoke a response from your audience, okay? As an animator, that's always one of your goals, is to evoke a response from your audience, okay? What do you want them to feel? You can communicate a lot of that through animation and through the user's actions and interactions with the items on the screen. We don't want to be doing just a bunch of cool flips and turns and whatever just because of the ability to do that, because it does get distracting after a while, right? So there are some cool things, for example, like scroll magic, right? This is really cool, right? You can do a bunch of cool stuff. I'm just scrolling the web page right now, and the point is nonetheless that you can have all these really cool visuals and unique experiences, but you also want them to hold over, right? Like, it would be silly, and I know it happens a lot. Oh, actually it did do it. Yeah, see, like, I don't know how I feel about this so much as when I scroll down and now it pops and then it pops up again. Well, what if I have something up here and then I go back down? Well, it's already popped. It should stay popped, right? Like, this bunny, he appeared now. Why is it when I go back up here, like, okay, good, he stays. Okay, good. But no, see, he's down. Like, he's gone. Like, some of this is something that it's just me nitpicking, but communication-wise to a user, it breaks my experience. Now, scroll magic is an awesome tool. It does a lot of really cool stuff, but the point I'm trying to get at is I see things like this, and you know, I come from an animation background, but there's a lot of people who don't come from an animation background. There's a lot of people who are not tech savvy and who are going to the website for the first time. Sometimes you see things like that and you think it's a glitch. You think it's broken, right? Because people don't quite understand how the internet works and stuff, right? We'll get into all this later. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to go ahead and just give a very high overview of CSS animations and JavaScript animations, okay? Now, it doesn't really necessarily matter what JavaScript framework you use or how you're pulling in whatever, you know, the point is more so, you know, about the actual animation approach, the actual animation techniques, right? And we'll get into all of that very, very soon. I hope you guys stay tuned. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll be more than happy to get back to you. That's it? Okay, yeah, we're at a good time now. I gotta go. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.